early Sunday edition of the Daily Space Weather to all our spaced out viewers. Thanks for tuning in. Looking at the 193 angstroms view here, we see a setting sunspot 2757, large coronal hole system north of the south solar pole. Small active region growing in the north area and a bit of obscuration of the SDO. Not sure if that's caused by the moon or perhaps a Borg spacecraft. Please leave a comment if you have a theory. Don't tell us it's caused by CERN. Here's the 304 angstroms view, and we do see a filament collapse down here. Doesn't look like it was ejected out into space. If you look down here in the southwest portion, you're going to see looks like that filament collapses onto the far side of the sun to me. And we see no indication from stereo A that there's any ejecta headed toward Earth. By the way, this is about 9 hours and 15 minutes on today, February 2nd, Super Bowl Sunday. Let's look at HelioViewer real quick, and we see a little bit of magnetic complexity forming up here in the north, right underneath my pointer. Right there, you'll see a little bit of magnetic looping in the 171 angstroms wavelength. So that's the area to watch. We have seen an ongoing magnetic connection with the coronal hole system in the south as well. And we'll go back to 0 sunspots throughout the day today. Here is the setting of sunspot 2757. And we'll let that play for you. It's pretty high res, and a setting sunspot right near the equator is one of the best places to get very detailed images of what's going on. And we're thinking about putting out some more HelioViewer movies today for your stargazing needs. Anyway, there's that sunspot as it begins to set and lose its name. Let's take a look at the view from stereo A. And we've just put up a little diagram here to show you where it is. As it trails the Earth, orbitally speaking, we see Venus swinging across its view. And there is some kind of an object out here also. Very slow-moving object. Not sure what that is. It could be a comet. Who really knows? Doesn't look like a planet, especially because of its direction. But in any case, there's Venus swinging past the lower portion of the screen. By the way, happy Groundhog's Day. Groundhog Day, I guess it is. If you're wondering where the tradition came from, it comes from an early Christian holiday known as Candleman's Day, according to the Puxatawny Groundhog Club. It's meant as a blessing to help households through the remaining winter, and eventually it evolved into weather forecasting, as folks, including Germans, looked to hibernating animals as a sign of what was to come. The club says it first appeared in local newspaper in 1886, and it's become a day to take everything a little less seriously and break up the winter monotony, at least for a little while. So we left links to the article here, a great article from LehighValleyLive.com, which also links to the Weather Hall of Fame, the Meteorologist Hall of Fame from the Puxatawny Weather Discovery Center. If you want to read about the latest Hall of Fame, man, these are some well-dressed meteorologists. This guy, Louis Uccinelli, PhD, looks like it's a Senate photograph or something. It's just amazing. Anyway, here's your rundown of your most recent additions to the Meteorologist Hall of Fame. Let's go back to solar data, since the sun is in charge of all your weather. All your weather comes from space, folks. Were you aware? GOES X-ray fluxes not showing any flaring or anything like that. And the 10.7 centimeter radio flux has dropped down to 73. Not surprising, as we will see the sun go back to 0 sunspots today unless some active region decides to step up to the plate and become a sunspot. KP index is at 1. We're skipping cosmic rays today, although if you want to watch yesterday's video, we did cosmic rays yesterday, or if you'd like to monitor them yourself, click the links below the video. We always include network of cosmic ray stations below there so you can monitor them yourself. And if you find anything weird, drop me a line at smashomash@gmail.com. We just saw a reestablishment of this magnetic connection with the South Pole coronal hole system, apparently due to the orientation of the solar wind protons. So here you can see the phi angle currently around 200 degrees, pretty close to a 180 degree connection. Solar wind density still coming down to 2.95 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed dropping down to 420. It's 420. Do you know where your solar wind speed is? But right now, it's 420 in the old valley of the shade. Eyes open, some fear. There's the data from ACE, looking corroborative as it usually does. Next, we'll look at the 4 hours worth of magnetosphere movies. And we do this daily as this data is not accessible via the archive. If you want to see all of this data, you'd need to screen rip it yourself. And we're hoping the data does become accessible at a later time. Anyway, there's 4 hours looking pretty steady on the magnetosphere and looking pretty choppy on the ground magnetic perturbations. Here are the polar views, and you can see significant South Pole perturbations extending into the southern Indian Ocean there toward the southwest of Australia, and a bit of a lopsidedness going on in the northern hemisphere as well, as we see the main perturbations over the Canadian North Pole as opposed to the Siberian one. Here are the global views, and you can see those magnetic pulses extending well into the Indian Ocean from the south, as well as those Canadian perturbations there. Changes in the Earth's B field. By the way, thanks for tuning in, new viewers, and attempting to be as spaced out as the rest of our viewers. Relativistic electrons have come up to a more moderate range here, and we're expecting a significant uptick in the electron flux in the next 24 hours. So we may see a little bit of charging hazards, some GPS errors, and so on coming. So look for that to be coming soon. The ionosphere is looking quite anomalous as well. We see it going from very, very discharged to very, very charged. Actually, from very charged to very discharged, I should say. Anyway, we're showing you the timestamps there. So around 6:30 UT and 7 o'clock UT, the ionosphere was very, very discharged. And about 5 hours before, it was more normally charged up, reaching up to 12 megahertz, I believe. Let's just look at the latest image now that we've showed you all of the data. That's 6 hours worth, by the way. And this latest image coming in at 8:30 UT, looking a little more smoothed out, although those anomalies in the South Pacific ionosphere west of South America are still present. Next, the GOES magnetometer is remaining choppy and sawtoothed looking as I forecasted yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, perhaps check it out. We always include some information that's timeless and some information that is daily data. And look for more clips coming soon, as we intend to start clipping small sections of the videos to encourage people to attempt to understand the physics. So now we're looking at the top view ecliptic plane field plot. We're looking at the heliospheric current sheet. South Pole oriented portion shown in red, North Pole oriented portion shown in green. And the North Pole is looking like it's weakening, or at least its orientation to the current sheet has. As when we see the last frame here, we're going to see nothing but South Pole oriented current sheet, at least on the portion of the current sheet on which the Earth and stereo A lie. Anyway, this data is 1 hour and 15 minutes old, expecting continued choppiness for the next 36 hours in the GOES magnetometer, based on what we see here, and this is one of the best predictive value pieces of data that we see on the internet, the Gong2 data. You can also access synoptic coronal hole plots and line of sight plots, and it's all based on about 51 magnetometers on the Earth, as well as on stereo B out here and stereo A out here. And look at stereo A's field force lines going right across the South Pole field and connecting with the North there. So this could be something to watch throughout the day also, as we're going to see continued anomalies in that. And remember, folks, the magnetic environment can change with absolutely no warning. Speaking of warning, let's talk about earthquakes. Nothing over a 6 magnitude of the past 24 hours. And we're just going to slowly scroll up the list here. Another deep quake at Columbia. That 4.6 magnitude quake at 156.5 kilometers depth. Here's a quake at nearly 100 kilometers at the Philippines. Another deep quake in southern Alaska, small magnitude. And we're just going to scroll up the list here, folks. Puerto Rico continues to get hit with aftershock after aftershock. Here's another deep quake in western South America. My favorite spot for the next very large earthquake, that 4.0 magnitude at nearly 200 kilometers depth. And here's another very shallow quake at Pahala. That's Hawaii, if you're wondering. That is at 1.5 kilometers above sea level. And there's a location of that quake, folks, occurring almost directly under the Mauna Loa magma chamber. 1,500 meters of altitude is about 4,500 feet. So you're looking at about over 1/3 of the way from sea level to the top of Mauna Loa did that quake occur. Talk about shallow. And going back to the list here, we're just going to keep scrolling up. So lots of quakes on the list, no big ones, several in Hawaii at varying depths. There's one underneath the town of Volcano. That's at 1.3 kilometers, so very shallow there. Magmatic activity kicking up at Hawaii. And we'll just keep scrolling up the list. So quite a few quakes kicking off, no major ones, a couple deep ones. Another deep one at Alaska, that one out in the Aleutians at 170 kilometers depth and a 3.6 magnitude. There's another one out in the ocean on the Reconnaissance Ridge between the North American and European plates. Here's a deep one at Japan, that 4.8 magnitude at 181.7 kilometers. And let's look at the windy.com pressure maps. We'll let this advance via the GFS forecast as we do most days. And you see the high pressures shown in dark red here, low pressure shown in light blue. For all you meteorology nerds and earthquake forecasters, indeed, we do provide this data as a tool for all kinds of different science nerds. Here's where we expect things to be at 12 o'clock Universal Time tomorrow. And it looks like some snow is going to be hitting us here in Pennsylvania. In fact, it already is. We'll show you in a minute. But first, the volcano rundown on today, Super Bowl Sunday, aka Groundhog Day. Mount Aso erupting, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume, Sakurajima. Not sure, please don't pitch a tent on the lower slopes of Sakurajima. Mount Ibu exploding, 7,000-foot plume there. Semaru back on the list, 14,000-foot plume there. Tokono exploding, flight level 7,000. Fuego exploding, flight level 14,000. Sabancaya continuously emitting ash. Please don't attempt to pole vault the Sabancaya caldera. Have you checked out smashomash.com/forum yet? Well, it's been a wild success, and we are delighted that so many people have set up logins for it. Please contribute anything you like. There's a free-for-all forum. We won't censor you. We won't ban you. We won't shadow ban you. We'll let you say whatever you want, so please don't make a fool of yourself, since we will not censor you. Philippines reports first case of coronavirus death outside of China. We've got an extensive section here on coronavirus, and We've even linked to this amazing infographic at the bottom, which is here. And we are seeing a bit of a leveling out of this graph. Although just keep in mind, folks, China has so many people locked down, it is impossible for China to confirm the number of cases that they actually have, as millions of people are unable to travel, and of course medical care is going to be at a premium since folks are locked in their houses. So this is going to continue to unfold. Here's the confirmed cases by country and region. So we see a few more countries added to the list there. This is a great infographic, though. Here's the map. And you can see, obviously, everything's centered on Wuhan, China. So again, check out smashomash.com/forum, as we've got an extensive database on coronavirus there. Total confirmed cases up to 14,573 worldwide. And one other thing to note, we have total recovered now also. 340 people recovered, 305 have died. This thing is practically in real time, folks. From courtesy Johns Hopkins University. I, your host, Dan, aka smAsho, is on red alert as Arctic lands grow greener. Survey said. Yeah, no, I'm not on red alert as Arctic lands grow greener. As we covered Greenland all summer long, showing you on windy.com's snow depth maps that it had 9 feet of snow from coast to coast. Now, the Vikings tried to become real estate agents and sell land on Greenland to Europeans. Why? Because Greenland actually used to be green. Now, they named it Greenland basically as a trick to get people to buy property there, and they lived in a place called Iceland, which is much more temperate. In any case, Greenland is not green. Greenland is white. And this image even shows you that Greenland is white. If you'd like to lose IQ points by reading this phys.org article, well, feel free. I don't know what it says because it's complete nonsense. And the little tiny uptick in CO2 is probably what's causing it, as that is a good thing. We would like the planet to be slightly warmer, as then Siberia and northern Canada would become amazing grow regions. If the temperature increased 1.5 degrees Celsius, the planet would become utopian because there'd be so much food availability. If the planet lost 1 or 2 degrees, probably 1 billion or so people would die as a result. Let's talk about what the Vikings had to say about it. Actually, let's talk about Siberian hunters. Guess what they were doing to survive the Ice Age? They were creating heat-resistance pots so they could cook hot meals, surviving the harshest seasons of the Ice Age. Ice Ages are a real threat to mankind. 1 or 2 degrees Celsius warming would be a benefit to mankind. And carbon dioxide has nothing to do with the Earth's climate, by the way, except that it lags it by several hundred years, caused by things like the exhalation from cellular respiration. Anyway, another interesting article on how to survive the deadly snowball Earth, which, by the way, is the most common climate for the planet, the snowball Earth planet. These little moments of warming are what allow things like society and this conversation to exist. Incidentally, we've linked the article here, another phys.org article. Let's talk about Fimbulwinter. Fimbulwinter is the, now, first of all, people in Nordic countries refer to any serious, major, harsh winter as a Fimbulwinter. But what it really is a reference in Norse mythology to the actual ice ages, the real snowball Earth, And by the way, I don't know if you're aware, folks, you're currently living in an ice age, as when both poles of the planet remain frozen all year round. That's the definition of an ice age. I don't know if you were aware. I started studying geology in about 6th grade. Now, let's talk about this rune stone. As this rune stone has 9 riddles on it. And guess what the first 5 of them are answered with? The sun. Let's talk about it. Before the runestone was erected, a number of events occurred which must have seemed extremely ominous. A powerful solar storm colored the sky in dramatic shades of red, crop yields suffered from an extremely cold summer, and later a solar eclipse occurred just after sunrise. Even one of these events would have been enough to raise fears of another Fimbulwinter. According to researchers' interpretation, the answer to 5 of the riddles is the sun. One is a riddle asking who was dead but now lives again, and the remaining 4 are about Odin and his warriors. So if you want to learn more about this runestone, which we covered weeks ago when it hit the news, we left links below the video to it. So have yourself a read. It looks like some lightning striking in South America. Shout out to Bruce Minas! And where is the Batman? Next, let's look at the U.S. Doppler radar map to see snow descending on Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness! Am I going to have to drive through this? Geez, oh whiz. What is going to happen today? Well, I'm not telling you. It's a secret. And it's not because of confidentiality requirements or contracts. And here's the U.S. water vapor map. This is what we use to know what's really going on, as water vapor that's not condensed onto a cloud is invisible to the naked eye. But this satellite's able to see it. And we're going to go into this area on the Central Rockies as this atmospheric river is making its way across the U.S. Right now, the beginning of it is right over Iowa, as well as Nebraska. And let's check out this convergence over the Central Rockies as there's some dry air pushing it along from behind. And there are your daily Hall currents, seen super obviously in the atmosphere as lines perpendicular to the mode of travel of the water vapor. So a major convergence there over northern Colorado. You can see this dry air crashing into this moist air. So a massive pressure gradient there. And it looks like we've got an upper level low. Anyway, there's your daily water vapor zoom in. And by the way, thanks new viewers, we're almost at 1,500 subscribers. Oh my gosh, perish the thought that we make it to 1,500 subscribers. Here's what's going on above my head. And we see some protons going across southern New Jersey right now. And yeah, thanks new viewers. If you're wondering where we're located, it is in Lehigh Valley, PA, right about there where my pointer is. Here are the jet streams on nullschool.net. And we see some more extreme meridional jet stream flow. We see a doubled up jet stream over the western U.S. That's part of what's causing that crazy convergence. Check out the extreme meridional jet stream flow there. We see a nearly 180-degree turn over the Atlantic Ocean here. Doubled up jet streams in the south. Here's the eastern world, looking a little bit more consolidated there over northern India. And in the south, it's all over the place. Let's move on to thank the Smash team for tuning in, leaving comments, sharing on their social media, etc. Thanks to our patrons for being assistant and associate producers. Patrons receive information before everybody else does, as well as various other alerts nobody else does receive. So please consider supporting the channel via Patreon. It's patreon.com/smashomash. We've got bonus features, but first we'd like to entice you to watch yesterday's cosmology segment, as we talk about things like the way stars, galaxies, etc. actually likely work. We talk about the liquid metallic hydrogen model, intercalate gases, cosmic rays, relativistic jets, and all kinds of other stuff. Here's a teaser. So please consider it when you're looking at models as to how the sun actually works, because the sun is indeed the Rosetta Stone of cosmology. So anyway, watch yesterday's cosmology segment. And I apologize if we messed up this video, but it's too bad. It's got to go out. Please consider pressing like and subscribe on YouTube. Press the notification bell, as we have no idea whether or not our viewers are able to see when we put out a video or not. Here comes some bonus features. We're going to talk about the economy real quick. So here's a one-year chart of the S&P 500, finally off of its meteoric highs. And please leave a comment if you think the coronavirus is a scam to crash the stock market. And next, we're just going to scroll down the futures and commodities page here on cnbc.com/markets to show everybody what's going on with the currencies and interest rates on U.S. Treasury bonds. Index futures. There's the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, etc. Here's your livestock, as well as agricultural futures. There's your metal, gold at $1593.40 per ounce, silver at $1803 per ounce. And let's take a quick look at crypto. Going to show you Bitcoin, as we've seen some increase in Bitcoin. So there's a little uptick going on. There's the one-year chart of Bitcoin as reported by Coinbase. Let's also look at Ethereum. And there's the one-year chart on Ethereum. This is my favorite crypto. And keep in mind, folks, I am not a believer in crypto. I think it is just nothing more than a speculative investment, and that it has no intrinsic value, and that the blockchain is basically just a waste of energy. However, it is a speculative investment. And if you'd like to consider dipping your tippy toe into the crypto world, consider using our link. You'll get 10 free dollars in crypto. And that's $10 in Bitcoin, and you'll be able to earn all kinds of other money just by learning about other crypto. So I have a small token investment in cryptocurrency, folks. We do cover economics regularly on the channel. Consider, if you're planning on doing some crypto trading, use our link, get 10 free bucks, help us out, and we'll continue covering stuff in the future. Let's look at some more bonus features. And today it's in the form of the 335 angstroms view, one of my favorites. I like the soothing blue tones. A little bit of activity rising there right on the equator, as well as up here in the north, something to keep an eye on throughout the day. And when I say eye on, well, you know the rest. Anyway, we're out, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it if you do, don't drive, and since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.